Okay, this is an update on the California drought. No one else is making videos on this, so I thought I should go ahead and do it. If we play, this is April 10th, about 2300 Zulu, and what we see is two odd areas out in the Pacific. And if we zoom in on this, we see something really remarkable. Now what we can see here is this is low pressure, everything should be going counterclockwise, and instead we see right here a jet of clouds shooting right here to the right, to clockwise. This is not natural, and that is the first piece of evidence. There are four powerful pieces of evidence that this is man-made high pressure in the jet stream caused by the ionospheric heater, formerly known as Haarp. And let me explain how this works in a minute. But you can clearly see these clouds are shooting to the right. Everything here should be turning counterclockwise, except for that little bunch of clouds. We jump ahead one day. We have this. We can see now that, play. We can see that this low pressure is now looking very strange, kind of broken up. And I want to focus first, here's the remnants of that low pressure. Second, we have this strange thing happening here. This is visible light mode and the sun is going down. And also these Haarp weather warfare machines, they only work in the daytime, and I'll explain that in a minute. So we can see now, jump ahead one more day, and we can see this low pressure has completely stopped rotating. This is what used to be the low pressure, and the low pressure has squeezed out to the east. And yet look at this area here. That's very bizarre. We can see air being pressed down there, and yet there's no rotation at all. And let me unzoom. Okay, so you can see that's just very odd. Let me jump ahead another day. This is April 12, 21 Zulu. Now what we can see here is this low pressure, whatever rotation there was, is gone, and it's now moved into northwestern Mexico. Well, what we do see here is there's a Haarp downburst here. We can see this outflow boundary and some Haarp resonant clouds, I guess you could call them. So in other words, this water down here is so warm that there's a potential of a hurricane developing there, so they squashed it. I'll jump ahead again. Oops, okay, that doesn't focus, sorry about that. Okay, now we're going to look at this whole sequence in water vapor mode. This is April 8th again, and you can see this hook right here is what develops into that low pressure. There's heavy chemtrailing right here. I'll zoom just so you can see it better. And what they're doing is they're trying to get this, the chemtrails create a hot air layer at 30,000 feet, capping inversion. They want that to overrun this low pressure area and prevent this low pressure from forming. But it didn't work, because if we jump ahead, here's April 9th, 16 Zulu. Now we notice some really strange stuff. This is piece of proof number 2. The fact that in the center of this low pressure you have this very dry air, which is not natural for a low pressure, because we should have humid air here. And on the outside you see this powerful counterclockwise rotation of rising air, but in the middle we don't see it rotating. In fact, we see right here some clouds, some thunderstorms popping up, and they're pushed to the right. This on the inside is tending towards a clockwise movement, and that's proof number 2. Now let me show you April 9, 22:30 Zulu. And now this is really classic. Okay, big chemtrails off to the west. Big chemtrails. They're concerned this warm water down here is going to form a big low pressure. The chemtrails are there to prevent that, because that again would sweep into California bringing rain. Now, as I said a second ago, this is 22 Zulu. 22 Zulu. So that is actually midday. So right here we're looking at the Haarp operator. The Haarp is transmitting. This is midday, and these weather warfare machines can only operate when the D layer in the ionosphere forms after the sun has been up for 3 or 4 hours. Okay, so here we see a storm popping up, and then it's pushed to the right, and it's gone. You see all this dry air being pressed down. But the main thing is, the center of this is not going counterclockwise like it should. Instead, it's going slightly clockwise. There's proof 3, and let's move ahead. Now here is April 10, 14 Zulu. Oops. And now 14 Zulu is, I believe this is nighttime over the Pacific. So we can see this thing starting to rebuild itself and fill out with this humid surface air. Okay, let's move again. Okay, we can see mega chemtrails here. And big chemtrails here, big chemtrails. And I'm sorry, I should have looked at the time. Here we have, well, 2400. So it's midnight in Greenwich Mean Time in England. So this area here is about 10 hours behind. So if it's midnight in the UK, you got to subtract 10 hours, and it's going to be about 2 p.m. So 2 p.m. this is now getting the Haarp downburst. Whoops, wrong button, sorry. A lot of stuff to control here. Oh, what happened? My resources here are really overtaxed. Okay, so this is now getting a Haarp downburst, and we see this massive area of dry air showing up here. Now let me show you some the evidence. We'll go back to this one, just keep this one in mind here. Okay, this one right here. And we want to look at the time. April 9, 1500. Sorry, play on Zoom. April 10. April 10, about 2 Zulu. Now if we go look at the vertical velocity map, hang with me, I'm going to do something cool here. 300 millibars is jetstream, 30,000 feet altitude. This is a vertical velocity map. The orange and yellow means rising air. The gray is falling air. So we want to look this area down here off of California. April 10, 15 Zulu. We jump ahead. 16 Zulu, 17 Zulu, 18 Zulu, 19 Zulu. Wow, look at that. 20 Zulu. Now what we have here is a ring of rising air and a central column of falling air. 20 Zulu is 8 p.m. in England. So you subtract 10 hours, and that gives you 10 a.m. So it's 10 a.m. here. The sun's been up for a couple of hours. This is a Haarp downburst because the D ring has, the D layer in the ionosphere 30 miles up has reformed. That gives them the ability to send this high pressure descending air into the jet stream. Okay, that is proof number 4. Now I'm going to go back to water vapor mode. We're going to follow up on that. There's something totally remarkable here for me to show you. And if I can find the right map, bear with me 1 second. Okay, we already saw that. Let's move ahead. Okay, now here we go. After that vertical velocity map was showing a lot of descending air there, now we have this big area of dry air being pressed down. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And now a truly remarkable thing happens. Let me just jump ahead to that map because it is so unusual and proof of the Haarp downburst. Okay, I need to let this play. Well, notice now, I hate to say this, but there was a low pressure here that was going to bring rain to California. And instead they did a Haarp downburst on the north side of it, which the clockwise flow around a high pressed it downward. It literally disappeared until it had the heating of Mexico, and then it reconstitutes itself over New Mexico. And this low pressure brought me 1.5 inches of rain. And this may be sort of a proxy. They figure, well, let's give this guy his rain and he won't make any more videos. And that's kind of how I feel about it. You folks in California are the ones who should be doing this homework and documenting this manipulation of the jet stream. Okay, now I want to show you here. Let me play this. Now here we have another low pressure trying to build, and then they do a bunch of heavy chemtrailing out here. So don't think for a minute that this drought in California is natural. They're using a variety of techniques to maintain this drought. Let me show you now. Now we're getting somewhere. Oh, come on. This is getting long, but this is some really good and rare stuff I'm about to show you. So we have this odd bit of extremely dry air showing up over California. I'm going to show you the proof of where that's coming from, if I can find the right map. Here we go, finally. Okay, this is April 14th, about 18 to 20 Zulu. Now, you're going to notice something here. Here we have this area of extreme dry air over Southern California. We also have these bands of clouds moving off to the west. And this is what I call the Haarp outflow boundary, that when they send this jet, it's a column of descending air. It hits the jet stream, and as it hits the more dense layers of the atmosphere, it forms a roll cloud and starts moving out radially. This is a Haarp outflow boundary, the Haarp roll cloud, and it only shows up in water vapor mode. In fact, if we look in, this is the exact same time, 14 Zulu 2100. If we look at it in visible light mode, we do not see the Haarp roll cloud, the outflow boundary. What we do see is a mysterious area of drying here. This drying is the man-made descending air. So if we now jump ahead, we can see that outflow boundary moving farther out. This poor PC is just really overtaxed. Okay, now here we go. This area of dry air deepens, and we see now this Haarp outflow boundary has proceeded steadily to the north and west, and now it has a rounded shape. This is telling me that this is an extremely powerful and persistent man-made high pressure in the jet stream. And I can assure you, this is not surface wind, and it's not jet stream wind, because we can look at the jet stream map here. Where is it? Poor old PC needs more memory. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to check the date on this. This is unzoom. April 15, about 0 to 500 Zulu. So if we look at the surface winds for April 15, 0 to 500 Zulu, 13, 14. Here's 15, April 15, 0 Zulu. So this is right at the time that this big boundary is moving to the west. And this is showing the surface sea level pressure analysis. The surface winds are light from the north. So in other words, you don't get that arc moving to the west with a wind at the 90-degree angle. Now if we go to jetstream map, 300 millibar, and we go 15, 0 Zulu. This is the exact same time again. Now this jetstream map is just showing it's moving straight northwesterly and strong. So in other words, this arc that we saw, this Haarp outflow boundary, is moving contrary to both the surface wind and the jet stream wind. Okay? That's because it's sandwiched between these two layers. And it is a roll cloud like a smoke ring that has a different humidity and temperature. And it is visible in the water vapor satellite. And these Haarp operators have been instructed to never allow this to be visible. And I watched the Pacific all winter long, and this Haarp outflow boundary was only visible one time. So here we go. Here's your evidence of man-made drought in California. I would call that evidence number 5. So personally, I don't want to make any more videos like this. You guys in California should be doing this homework. You know, I got my 1.2 inch or inch and a half of rain over the last week because they actually dragged that low pressure over my area. It's you guys in California who need to learn enough meteorology and watch these maps. This is your first step in ending your drought. And if you don't step up, then it's going to get really, really ugly out there. So I wish I could offer better advice. You know, it's a sad situation, folks. But look at that Haarp outflow boundary right there. Hey, thanks for watching.